This figure you see represents the largest bounty in history. On the night of March 18, 1990, just after midnight in Boston, the most expensive mistake in world history was made. In just 81 minutes, 13 of the rarest pieces of human heritage vanished into thin air. No alarms rang, and not a single bullet was fired. Today, in that museum, only empty frames hang where the paintings once were, and the FBI is still searching for the answer to one question. Where are the two most wanted men in the world right now? If you're ready, we're diving deep into that great art massacre that has remained unsolved for 34 years. First, let's set the scene. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum is no ordinary concrete building. Built by Isabella, one of the most eccentric women of the 19th century, it is a Venetian-style palace filled with priceless antiques she collected throughout her life. There is a magnificent courtyard in the center of the museum, and the rules are incredibly strict. Nothing can ever be moved. On the night of March 18, 1990, the city of Boston was under a green tide of St. Patrick's Day celebrations. While the streets echoed with drunken festivities, there were only two people inside this silent palace. The first of the security guards was 23-year-old Rick Abbott. Rick was a long-haired young man, a member of a rock band, carrying the hippie spirit of that era. The other was a less experienced guard. At exactly 1:24 a.m., the side door buzzer of the museum rang. Rick saw two men in police uniforms on the monitor. They claimed they had received a report of a disturbance in the yard and needed to investigate. In that moment, Rick didn't just press a button. He opened a black hole in the art world. The moment the fake police entered, it became clear that everything was a performance. Within minutes, Rick and his colleague were handcuffed and tied to pipes in the basement. The 81-minute stopwatch was now ticking. So who were these men? Were they just two thieves or art experts? The answer to this question takes us to the dark underworld of Boston. For years, the FBI believed the Italian mafia was behind this, specifically the families that ran Boston at the time. To understand how these thieves became interested in this business, you need to know the name Miles Connor. Miles Connor is the most colorful criminal in Boston's history. One day, he would steal a Rembrandt. The next, he'd be caught with a samurai sword. While in prison, Miles told FBI agents, "The Gardner Museum is child's play. I could rob that place any time." This was part of a culture of theft. For criminal organizations in Boston, stealing art was about more than just money. A stolen painting is a massive bargaining chip for a mafia member in prison. The "release me and I'll give you the Rembrandt" negotiation was a survival strategy for these men. It is believed that the robbers followed Miles Connor's plans and knew the museum's weak points by heart. They weren't professionals, they were just neighborhood kids who knew how vulnerable the system was. The thieves went upstairs to the Dutch room. The motion sensors were working, but no one was watching them. Their first target was Rembrandt's only seascape in the world, the Storm on the Sea of Galilee. This painting was so large that it was impossible to move with its frame. The thieves did something shocking. They pulled out ordinary box cutters, likely very cheap ones. Imagine that moment. A rusty blade pressed against a 350-year-old masterpiece. They crudely cut the canvas from the frame. As the sound of the canvas tearing echoed off those walls, the history of art suffered one of its deepest wounds. But they didn't stop there. Vermeer's The Concert one of only 34 Vermeers in the world. The thieves were so relaxed they weren't even rushing. They moved between different rooms of the museum, selecting 13 pieces. But their choices were very strange. They smashed a massive cabinet just to take a Napoleonic eagle finial. Yet they didn't even touch the $1 million Titian painting right next to it. Was this a specific order, or were the thieves so ignorant that they didn't know what they were touching? They roamed the museum for 81 minutes. They went to their vehicle twice to load the pieces, and at 2:45 a.m. they vanished into the Boston darkness, never to be seen again. The next morning at 8:15 a.m., when the museum staff arrived, they were met with chaos. But the primary question mark was over security guard Rick Abath. In the motion sensor logs examined by the FBI, there was a very strange detail. Shortly before the police, the thieves, arrived, Rick had opened and closed the side door once during his patrol. FBI agents asked, "Why?" Rick said, "I was just checking it." But according to many experts, this was a signal meaning, "The coast is clear, you can come in." Rick remained the main suspect for many years. Even the fact that the thieves didn't harm him at all, only handcuffing him and leaving him, was suspicious. However, Rick passed lie detector tests. The FBI released him because they had no physical evidence. But even today, the mystery of why that door was opened remains. Years later, Rick Abath said in an interview, "I was just a guard, not a hero." Do you think Rick was the inside man behind this massive heist? The trail led to another name, Robert Gentile. Gentile was an elderly mafia member living in Connecticut. In 2010, the FBI dug up Gentile's yard and tore down his walls. What were they looking for? The paintings, of course. They didn't find the paintings, but they found a piece of paper in a secret compartment in a basement. It was a list of the 13 stolen works, along with their estimated prices. Until the day he died, Gentile played a game of cat and mouse with the FBI. He would say, "I don't have the paintings, but I know who does." Then later say, "I was joking." When he died in 2021, he took his secret with him to the grave. Another suspect was Bobby Donati. It was claimed that Donati was seen near the museum that night. Donati's goal was to use the stolen works to negotiate the release of his friend from prison. But Donati lost his life in a gang war before he could carry out this grand plan. The rule in the mafia world is this: if you have a very valuable piece of criminal evidence and you can't get rid of it, it becomes your grave. Perhaps these paintings were destroyed because they brought bad luck to their owners. Now we come to the crucial question: where are these priceless works now? The first theory is that the paintings were destroyed long ago. They were heavily damaged when they were cut from their frames that night. If they were stored in a damp and poor warehouse, they might have turned into a pile of trash over the last 34 years. Art experts call this the death of art. The second theory is the dark collector. Somewhere in the world, perhaps an oil tycoon or a shadowy leader is keeping these paintings in a secret bunker just for their own eyes. This sounds like a movie script, but it has a basis in reality because you cannot sell these paintings at auction. The only way to own them is to hide them like ghosts. The third and most likely theory is the bargaining chip. It is thought that the paintings were split up and are being held by different criminal organizations as trading tools for a future legal battle. The FBI still has a $10 million reward on the table. This is the largest civilian reward in history, but the fact that not a single valid tip has emerged in 34 years shows how deep the secret is buried. Isabella Stewart Gardner's will became a prison for the museum. According to the will, nothing could ever be moved. Therefore, the museum management could not put new works in place of the stolen paintings. Today, when you walk into the Dutch room, you see those massive, empty wooden frames hanging on the wall. Those frames are not just pieces of wood, they are the silent cry of art. Visitors stand before what isn't there and weep for hours. Those voids remind us that humanity was deprived of the works of a centuries-old genius just because of the greed of a few people. The storm in Rembrandt's sea now only blows in our minds. The magical light of Vermeer now only shines in photographs. The Gardner Museum is essentially like a living funeral ceremony. Every day, thousands of people go there to mourn the lost treasure. So, my friends, I ask you now, the $10 million reward is still on the table. If one day you saw an old canvas rolled up in the corner of a dusty attic or a warehouse, what would you do? Would you give it to the police, or would you continue to be a part of this great mystery? No one has forgotten the mistake the thieves made that night. You can steal works of art, but you can never possess their soul. Those thieves might be rich now, or perhaps they have long since left this world. But those paintings are still out there somewhere, waiting to be found. The truth is, until this mystery is solved, those frames will remain empty, continuing to remind us of humanity's greatest loss. Who do you think was behind this? Rick the security guard, the Boston Mafia, or a shadow name we don't even know? Be sure to share your theories in the comments. Every single one of your comments could be a piece of this 34-year-old puzzle. If you love these kinds of deep dive true crime files and mystery documentaries, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel with notifications on. Until we chase the truth in the next dark file, goodbye.